You're watching the Bethel College Football Show.
I say, brother, you stay hood! Brother, hood, brother, hood, brother, hood!
Sears is going to fake the pitch to Juarez. DJ Sears in for the touchdown.
Hello and welcome to the Threshers Football Show. I'm Dan Page alongside head football coach of the Threshers, A.B. Stokes. Bethel football 5-0 this season after a 42-7 victory over Bethany this past Saturday. The Threshers up 14-7 at half and see it through to the end in the second half. A lot to talk about that game. We talked about it beforehand, but Coach, afterwards, they've had a few days to think about it. What's your overall reaction to the performance?
I'll always be pleased when our guys, give their all and finish. So that was really the reaction to it. And really, whether, there were stints in the game where maybe we didn't play as well as other stints of the game. It's one of those things where I tell these guys all the time that every game is separate, right? And so we don't come in and outside of watching the film, which we do every week on the things that we need to get better about, that's as far as we go on, for lack of better words, crying over spilled milk. You know what I mean? We had missed opportunities and things, but it's you go and you work on that for the upcoming week. And our guys know, they know when they're playing well, they know when they're not, and they know the goal is to play, as best we can, week in and week out.
It was an interesting first half for you guys. 14-7 was the score at halftime. You guys had first half touchdowns. DJ Sears had a 1-yard quarterback sneak that just kind of was a delayed reaction on the touchdown call. And then Bethany kind of catch you by surprise a little bit. They go deep. Safety that just didn't quite time it right. Kind of one of those moments where the slightest mistake hurts you a little bit. But it was tied at 7 at that point. And then late first quarter, Caden Christensen takes it in from 6 yards out. And nobody scores in the second quarter. A lot of things really kind of frustrating there in the first half. I know you hinted at it a little bit, but 14-7 definitely got the sense from the players going into the locker room that they were not playing their best and they had to turn around. Yeah,
absolutely. And we just had, some missed opportunities, like their touchdown pass. It really should have been an interception. It bounces off of one of our guys' hands and right into their hands, kind of deal. And then we missed a couple of scoring opportunities. We had the ball down late in their territory, right before the half, and try to take a shot instead of kicking the field goal, which is, again, like I say, these are all learning things that we're taking and we're putting in our pocket. Like, okay, 5 seconds on the clock, kick the field goal. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Instead of, we take a sack and we end up coming away with no points. They won't give us a timeout. So we just left some points on the board, and we stalled in some drives and things of that nature. I thought outside of the one picked tipped ball that they called, I thought defense was playing well. We did have a couple of times where they shot themselves in the foot as well. Bethany did, so we both were, we weren't playing very clean football. It was a bit chippy, out there, and it just wasn't too clean football. But like I said, I'll never stop challenging these guys. They could have been up big at half. We could have been down big at half. It doesn't even matter. The challenge would be the same. Do you want to play? You know what I mean? Do you want to keep playing? And if the answer is yes, well, strap it up. Let's go.
Threshers up 14-7 at halftime. Definitely some penalties for unnecessary roughness or roughing the passer. That maybe some other games may not have been that call. It's tough to gauge sometimes, especially when your guys are so used to pinning their ears back and just going on defense. And so that was a little frustrating at times. It kept some of the Bethany drives alive in those situations. But ultimately, turning it around in the second half, you guys do a nice job of, in special teams again, scoring a touchdown. That was a big turning point for you guys. Kind of their mishap. It was a high snap to their punter, and he couldn't quite haul it in. He tipped it, fell backwards. The ball went into the end zone. Dagan Goodner recovers it for the touchdown. And I tell you what, a perfect deserving guy to get that touchdown.
Yes.
He has made a lot of strides in his career in a Bethel uniform, and I thought that was so fitting that he was there for it and deserved all the recognition he got from it. But great heads-up play for him. Again, another special teams touchdown for you guys. Doug Grider there in the third quarter, I think third or fourth quarter, gets the interception off of special teams. They were trying to kick a field goal, and they had another bad snap, so they had to try to go with the busted play. And he ends up getting the interception from a defensive lineman. That's pretty interesting. Always entertaining whenever Doug makes a play, no matter what.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So many times, though, in the game, you guys could have had interceptions. But Robin Neely probably had 5 broken passes. Like, he broken up.
He's trying to get the record.
Yeah, there you
PBUs.
go. Yeah, but he did a great job.
Yeah, he did.
He really worked hard for you guys in that. And then, turning that into the fourth quarter, Caden Christensen gets another touchdown for you guys. And then now you feel like you're getting rolling there in the fourth quarter, up 28-7 at the time. And then all of a sudden the passing game is there for you on back-to-back drives. Braden Francis from deep, 61-yard touchdown pass from DJ Sears. He had caught a pretty deep ball in your first drive of the game as well. And so that was he had a phenomenal game, over 100 yards receiving for you guys, which was tremendous. And then really a moment that I thought was really encouraging for a player that's new to the program this year, and Trayvon Madison, who had that nice catch, ended up being a 43-yard touchdown catch, and mostly yards after catch. He's so fast and outran 3 different guys to the end zone, and you guys come away with a 42-7 victory over Bethany. Definitely a better taste in your mouths once the second half happens.
Yeah, and we could have probably even at the end, we could have scored 28 points in that fourth quarter. Scott Grider was going in, which we'll argue that he crossed the plane before he fumbled. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
But needless to say, we didn't get that score. But better taste. Is there some secret formula? No, guys. I thought the first half. I thought that there were just a couple of missed opportunities that kept, I guess, the taste from being sweet, if that's what we'll call it.
Sure.
I really thought it was just a couple of things, and for me, I felt pretty good going into the half. Maybe not up. Being up, I felt pretty good. Maybe not in some of the things, like some of the penalties and missed opportunities, but it wasn't. I'm grateful for it, but I don't think our guys. We don't really even looking to score that much anymore. It's just play the game to win. right? It's a game.
Right.
You play to win. You know, I play. I'm not a big chess guy. I do play chess, but I grew up playing a lot of checkers, right? Which is a little fast paced, and I can remember, man, being like you're down and out. You just got maybe 2 kings on the board, and they got all their, a lot of pieces, and you just gotta. Sometimes you just gotta move around and survive until you can even, level the playing field. And now a couple of jumps and boom, now we're back in it. You know what I mean? And that's how I want these guys to view football. Is like, don't concede. You know what I mean? Don't be down on yourself. Don't look at any situation. If you're not playing well, okay, well, decide you're gonna play better. And, you know what I mean? So that's kind of how we look at it. And it's it's easy to sit here and say it when you win games, but I promise you, it's who we are. It's who these guys are, man. It's what we're doing our best to continue to instill in them, and that's play the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, I think that was the right mindset. You just saw an instant difference in the second half from the first half of this game going in. Some guys had their head down going into halftime. Like, you've got to show some emotion and play with emotion. That some people don't like it when you say, well, this team wanted it more, but you've got to put a little bit of effort towards that. Something, mental, physical, whatever it is. But I feel like you guys definitely flipped a switch in the second half. DJ Sears, 11 of 15 passing for 209 yards, 2 touchdown passes. We mentioned to Braden Francis and Trayvon Madison. Sears did have a 1-yard rushing touchdown. Still, the NAIA's leading touchdown in the run game, I should say, with 10. There's another guy at 9 behind him, and then 7, all there. So that's pretty impressive for DJ. Quite the game. 209 passing, and then over 300 yards rushing as a team at 309. And Caden Christensen with a great game, 103 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. The same site where he scored his first college touchdown.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
At Bethany. Scott Greider was right behind him at number 11 carries for 54 yards. Cash McCray, 35 yards rushing. And then you guys got Tucker Smith, Chance Curry, Julian Jackson getting in on the mix, and Josh Moran, good to see him back, getting some playing time as well for the Threshers. Braden Francis, 3 catches for 102 yards and a touchdown. Trayvon Madison, 2 catches for 54 and a score. And a few other guys getting their names into the stat book. Cash McCray in the receiving game, as well as Colby Matlock, Darian Price, Tucker Smith, Isaac Harkness, and Tyler Dobbs, again, for the Threshers. So offensively, you can't complain with that performance whatsoever. Over 500 yards of total offense. It's got to feel good to know you can do that as a team, to have those repetitions going forward.
Absolutely, and we felt like we knew we could get to a point where we could actually do this in the game a few weeks ago, and today's no different. Today was a really, really good practice on both sides of the ball, but I know the offense, I really watched them at the end of practice in their tempo period, and what I look for is, how easy can they make it look against, some of the guys who gives us a scout look. And when you can make it look easy, you're doing really good things. And today was about as easy as I've seen it look for them to move the ball, drive the ball down the field. They were just, running, passing, just definitely on the same page all across the board. I shook Coach Langford's hand after practice. I was just like, hey, great job, man. Great practice. That's all I said. Shook his hand, gave him a bow of respect, because they work hard, man. All those guys work hard. The offense and defensive staff, they work hard, and man, I'm extremely blessed to have these guys working at Bethel.
Yeah, the Threshers win it 42-7. Coach, we talked about it before we went on the air here. The team football program, obviously rushing has been a big strength for it in the previous years, but this year with a new system offensively, based on my understanding when talking with you, to lead the nation now in rushing yards
Yeah,
in the NAIA level.
NAIA, number
Again,
one rushing team.
is quite the feat for you guys. Yes, you had the personnel in place to do it, but to do it in a different way, I think it says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if you'd have asked me at the beginning of the season, midway through the season, hey, do you think you guys would be the number one rushing team in the country in October? I'd have told you no. There's no way. But, by the grace of God, I mean, you have to be able to run the football and be successful. And I think running the football well, obviously other things take into effect as well. But I think that is one of the key factors to winning football games at this level and in this conference.
Well, you guys are actually tied with Kansas Wesleyan, 1,325 yards.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't want to say that part.
Okay. Friends at number 3.
Okay.
But you guys were 1,325. That's 265 yards per game on the ground.
Now, I thought that was a team, the team in
Dort.
Yeah, because they only play 4 games, so it goes by your average per game.
Yeah,
so
Dort's at 260 per game.
Yeah,
I was
number
going
3,
by
yeah.
overall yards and then
okay,
the average per game as well. So,
Yeah.
15 rushing touchdowns for the Threshers on season to go along with that. So, Bethel, again, leading in that category for yet another season. Looking at the defensive side of the football for the Threshers against Bethany, 11 tackles from Josh Shebolt, 2.5 of those for loss. Split a sack with Cade Miller. 2 sacks on the day from Julius McVeigh. They're on the stat sheet.
There you go, Julius.
2 tackles in the game, and they were sacks.
Yeah.
So it's quite the thing for him. I mentioned Doug Grider. He had 7 tackles. So did Cade Miller. Grider also with the interception.
And by the way, fun fact, that's actually his 3rd interception of his overall playing career, if you didn't know.
For Doug?
Yes.
Okay.
I asked him if that was his first interception. He said, no, Coach, I actually had 2 in high school, I believe. So
Yeah.
maybe it was 1 in high school, 1 in middle school. I don't know, Doug, but I'm giving him his props. Love Doug.
There you go.
Land shark. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah, definitely got some love there, and the streak continues for your defense. You've had an interception against every opponent this season, which is continuing to be impressive for the Thresher defense. Brennan Sanders, no interceptions for him, no interceptions for Trey Palmer, but the whole secondary played well with those 2, as well as Robin Neely, Phillip Williams, just to name a few. You have your handful of guys on the defensive line, and even more so, John Henson, Hyro, Brian Parker, all those guys, Tate Seabolt, Houston Buckner, all playing really well for you guys. I know that's scattered across the whole defensive formation.
Did Amani Peoples get a sack this game?
Yeah, you got a strip sack.
Strip sack, yep.
Yep,
Sure
you got a
did.
strip
There you
sack that was in the second half for you guys. It caught me off guard. Tell you what, that 4th quarter took a long time to play.
It did.
It didn't really feel like a hot day coming in, but man, I was kind of cooking there on the sideline, if you can't tell. So, but yeah, I mean, defense did a phenomenal job from start to finish. Outside of that just slight mishap on the first drive for Bethany, they pretty much controlled the lot of the game for you guys.
Yeah, for sure. What I was most impressed about was that goal line. I call it double goal line stop that they had there in the 3rd quarter because we stopped them, and then I think on like a 4th or 3rd down where we get an interception on the goal line, we get a roughing the passer on that play, and then they end up getting a 1st and goal again from like the 2-yard line or something like that, and we just drive them back, and they end up having to attempt a field goal from like the 15-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
So I was just really impressed with that whole series and those transactions those transitions because that's it's easy to fold when you're in that situation where at that point I think we were up 2 scores. Yeah, it was 21-7 at that point. And so it would have been real easy to just be like, I'll let these guys score and, offense will score another, or we won't let them score twice for sure. So, but to hold them out, man, that was big. That was big.
definitely something that they wanted to accomplish after giving up that first score, as Bethel goes on to win it 42-7. Carson Sauceda continuing to do well on extra points for you guys, and Braden Francis kicking off. Had a few touchbacks for you at the same time, while Logan DeMond has been out for the Threshers. So the Threshers improved to 5-0, and they take on the only other unbeaten team in the conference this week, and the 6th-ranked Southwestern College Mound Builders. 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium. Should be a phenomenal game. It always is. In recent years, I should say. The last 2 years has just been quite the game. And the year before, we didn't necessarily like the result back in 2019.
It was a good game.
It was a very good game.
Yeah.
In that one, it was 17-0 you guys at half, and Southwestern comes back to win that one. Yeah. And then 2 years ago here, Fall Fest was supposed to be a Fall Fest football game, but got postponed into November because of COVID-related things.
Okay.
And it was a Saturday night football game, and Zach Esau with the game-winning touchdown. Braden Francis had a 90-yard touchdown catch. And at the time, Mason Murray for the Threshers had some phenomenal catches that led to that game-winning touchdown on that last drive for Bethel as they got the victory. And then you go to last year's game, going into overtime. It was just a nerve-wracking game because Southwestern had a lot of momentum early in last year's game in Winfield. And but going into double overtime, Cam Harrison finds Tanner Galliard on like a halfback pass to get the touchdown, and then Trey Palmer seals the deal with a diving interception in the end zone. Southwestern was down to their third-string quarterback at that point in the game, and so that was kind of a thing going in, that they were already down. I think Cagle was hurt going into that game, and so they have a lot of quarterbacks. Let's just say that much going in. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but yeah, it was quite the finish for the Threshers, and the points mattered, and the 2-point conversion that didn't happen had a lot to do with so many things later in the season when it came time for postseason type things. And obviously these two teams have definitely been at the top of the conference last couple seasons. Southwestern going to the playoffs last year, Bethel the year before, and of course Southwestern the end of the year last year they beat Kansas Wesleyan, and now they end the year this season also with the regular season against Kansas Wesleyan. So that'll be something to watch later on down the road. But it's the Threshers and the Mound Builders. We'll talk about them here coming up next here on the Thresher Football Show. It's a 6 o'clock kick from North Newton Thresher Stadium, KCAC Network. You can watch it there, and we'll talk about it coming up next on the Thresher Football Show.
Thresher fans, get ready for the upcoming school year by becoming a member of the Bethel Booster Club. Your membership impacts all athletic programs by paying for experiences last year, such as the Threshbees Award Show, postseason experiences and postseason tickets, the Hall of Fame banquet, enhanced live streaming equipment, new banners in Thresher Gym, equipment for the Gearing Hall weight room, windscreens at Ward Tennis Center, and Thresher Stadium. Be a part of Thresher Athletics history and a booster club that is living out the Bethel College Athletics mission by creating life-changing experiences for our student athletes through 4 levels of membership plus parent and young alumni specials. Athletics is an integral part of the Bethel College experience, and thanks to your support, we look forward to growing our success for the future. Visit BethelThreshers.com/booster club to become a member today.
We're kicking off another year here at Bethel College, and we need your help in making this another successful season. Thanks to your generosity in the spring, we were able to purchase championship rings and practice jerseys for our players, giving them a big-time experience. Since then, we've added several new faces to the program, and we couldn't be more excited to get to work molding a group of upstanding young men. All summer long, our guys have been getting after it in the weight room, and since August 5th, we've been hard at work preparing to put a product on the field that honors the tradition of Bethel College football. With your help, we're ready to make this another great year. Thanks for your generosity, and roll on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
back to the Thresher football show. Bethel College 5-0 taking on 5-0 Southwestern in North Newton at Thresher Stadium. Should be a great game, a great crowd. Hopefully it can be in the stands. If you can't be there, you can watch on the KCAC network, the KCAC network app, or kcacnetwork.com, or any of the smart TV apps that you can get as well if you can't make it to the game. We always do our best, myself and the student crew that helps me out, try to bring you one of the best broadcasts in the KCAC the best we can coming up on Saturday. And Southwestern coming to town, ranked number 6 in the country. In the coaches poll, some of the media not giving them as much love, having them at 12. And then kind of the same story for you guys. You guys are listed at 12 in the coaches poll, moving up 2 spots. And media saying 15. I know none of that really matters when it comes to football. Kansas Wesleyan not too far behind you guys, also in the top 25 coming into this weekend. But it's a big game. So many people know what it means when Bethel takes on Southwestern. Coach, it's not just football. It's been so many sports within the last few years. Basketball right down to the wire, volleyball, soccer, softball, so many different things. And it's becoming a little bit of a rivalry. And Bethel has been fortunate to be on the upside most of those meetings, which is kind of been interesting going into this one. But I know that doesn't have anything to do really with how the game is played out, just some context going in. But, Coach, when you look at Southwestern, they're very well coached.
Yes.
They have so much talent on their team, but what else is it that they have?
I mean, they're building, like, tradition. You know, they've been good for a while now. They've been flirting around the top of the conference for the last 4 years, somewhere around there. So it's just something where they say, winning breeds winning, success breeds success, things like that. So you've got a group of guys who have won a lot of football games, no different than we have here. They've got same coach that's been there and built it, right? So I'm drawing a blank on Coach's name right now.
Griffin, yeah.
Griffin, right, Brad Griffin. Yes, Coach Griffin. Sorry about that. I actually call him from time to time. So Brad Griffin, who was there when Southwestern was at the bottom of the conference. He built the program up. He's he's one of the guys who got the student athletes in, stuck it out, and built these guys up, and have seen the success, going from bottom of the conference to a playoff team, a conference championship team. And so that's a lot. When you play against that you have to bring your best. But we're in a good spot ourselves, where I'm sure that they know, no different, that they have to bring their best when they play against Bethel. Although it's been a coaching change, you still have a lot of these guys on the team who've won a lot of football games, played in a lot of big football games, and to them it's just another opportunity to go out and play. And I'm sure the Southwestern players look at it the same, like, hey, this is just another game to go play. Like, they take out all of the nonsense of the rankings and the bigness of it. They take it out and just say, hey, we're gonna play and try to be better. So, but I know both of us, we know that we have to play our best to come away with a winning result. So it'll definitely be fun, and those are just some of the things that we know you face outside of just players, right?
Since the Threshers last played Southwestern a year ago, Southwestern finished their season with just one regular season loss to Bethel, went to the NAIA playoffs after a victory over Kansas Wesleyan, and fell. I think they lost to Marion in a tight game there. It was a well-fought football game. But this year, starting 5-0 yet again, they've beaten Ottawa 29-6. That was the game they were down 6-2 at halftime. Up at Ottawa, and then had quite the second half against the Braves. 65-0 against Bethany, 32-14 at St. Mary. They beat Avila at home, 24-21. That was quite a ball game. The last couple games for them have really been challenging against some pretty good teams. Avila was inside the 5. there with just seconds left and didn't have time to run a play after their first plan didn't work. And so Southwestern got the victory, escaped at home with the 24-21 victory, and then last week turned around and played at home again against McPherson, who's now lost to three very quality football teams by 1 point each time. 23-22 was last week's score from Winfield, and so it kind of gives you some idea of what they bring to the table, having similar opponents coming into this game. Having you guys played Ottawa and Bethany and McPherson coming in. But definitely Southwestern back on the road. I think this is their last evening game of the year. So prime time, and the lights are on, and it's quite the showdown for this matchup that has a lot of implications to the conference title race and possibly postseason on the line. So the Southwestern coming in to take on the Threshers again, 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium. And so, they have, not just you guys have familiar faces into this game. They've had some guys that have been there a long time as well. Quarterback-wise, Barnes and Cagle, those two guys definitely had weapons last year. Cagle didn't play against Bethel, but he did the year before. And then Barnes played the game against the Threshers last year. The majority of it got hurt. And then Howell came in and finished the game off. He was their third stringer at the time, and the Threshers were able to win that one in double overtime. Definitely a lot of talent. Keyshawn Jones, a talented receiver for the Mound Builders, who's felt like he's been there forever. They just have so many weapons, and they're well coached. And then all the other guys just kind of bring up their level of play as well when they see what those guys do for them week in and week out. But no doubt a very, very talented group of players that you guys are going to face.
Yeah, for sure. And we, like you said, we've known our guys who are playing against them. They played against them for the past few years. I've heard the names, and we know how talented they are, and that's why, like I said, we want to play our best, and it's one of those things too. Dan, we know that, but we also know and believe that we're talented as well, and really that's what we focus on. I think Deion Sanders said it, and I like to try to say it to our guys a little bit like, hey, I want you to go home and go to war with the man in the mirror. Don't come back until you won. You know what I mean? So it's we really like to focus on internally on, like, okay, do you love to play the game? Sorry, Dan, I'm gonna sound like a broken record here. do you love to play the game?
Right.
Yes, I love to play the game. Great. Are you giving your best effort? Yes, I'm giving my best effort. Great. You know what I mean? Like if you're doing those things, are you playing together? Are you playing hard, fast, and together? Yeah, we're doing all of that. All right, well, great. Then I think if our guys love to play the game and they play it the right way, and they play it with great energy and effort, then I just think that we're gonna be in football games because we've got great kids. So again, they've got a lot of talented young men over at Southwestern who we definitely respect and don't want to take anything away from them, and want to give them their props. But trust and believe, we've got some guys who are really good themselves and are looking to show it. They want to show that, hey, we can play ball too. We don't forget that outside of the Bethel community, for the most part, there's not a lot of people outside of this organization who really gives Bethel much of a shot, and that's the narrative that these young men are working to change. If you remember right, nobody picked Bethel ahead of Southwestern, in the early polls.
Or Kansas Wesleyan.
Yeah, or Kansas Wesleyan. Yeah, I was going to talk about that one at the end of the season. But nobody did, and we know that, you know what I mean? And that's what, that's a little bit of, we like to say discipline over motivation, but motivation in the proper setting is okay as well. But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, people hear the names that you mentioned, and then they hear our names and they say, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they hear those names, say, oh, and then they hear our names and they say, and it's like,
Sure.
okay, well, just keep watching us play. Watch how we play the game. You know what I mean? And so that's what I'm excited about. Again, all respect to their play. They have phenomenal players over there. But I'm excited to watch our guys stack up against them and see, when the smoke clears. Let's see where we stand.
It's definitely not cliche. I mean, from your standpoint and the message that you give to your team, it's what brought you here. It's what got you to this point in the season, week in and week out, having that same mindset. So don't ever. I know it may sound like a broken record,
yeah.
but I can assure you.
Oh, man.
I mean, this is what successful teams do well, week in and week out. They keep those things. They don't take them for granted whatsoever. And it doesn't matter who the opponent is. And I know you've said that like 7 times on this show this year. So we've established that pretty firmly.
Yes,
but
yes.
no question. You guys definitely have some guys. And I understand completely what you're saying about from the outside looking in. I feel like you guys have a group that's so bought into team mentality that they don't even care about stats.
No,
like Chance
they
Scurry, he has so many stats in his years at Bethel, but this year doesn't care.
Nope.
And he is a team leader.
Yes,
and
he is.
It doesn't change how he plays the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything of how those guys play the game. Selfless guys on your team as well. If we're getting into the statistics side of things for Southwestern, Brad Cagle is their quarterback. He's thrown the ball 80 times in games this year, completed 44 passes on the season for 613 yards, 8 touchdown passes, been sacked 7 times, thrown 3 interceptions. Southwestern as a group throwing the football, 7 interceptions coming in to this Week 6 football game. So for a team like you guys that has averaged an interception against your opponent every game, you got to be encouraging with that. A couple other quarterbacks could be in the mix for this week's game. Thomas Yam, he's thrown for 222 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the season. And then Luke Barnes, 18 to 27 passing, 2 interceptions and 2 touchdowns for 214 yards. He's only played in 1 game for the Mound Builders on the seasons coming into this one. And then in the ground game, I believe they bring back the running back, Jaquilis Coleman, rushed for 216 yards coming into this game, 2 touchdowns, and a few other guys into the mix as well, about 4 other guys that have scored on the ground for the Mound Builders this season. Talented receivers, I mentioned it. Interesting enough, Andre Jones and Keyshawn Jones are not their leading receivers as far as statistics go. They have a lot of talent. Lake Hoffman, 16 catches this year for 235 yards. Josh Edson, a Newton guy, 15 catches for 197. He was the Offensive Player of the Week of the conference this past week. Zion Kenner, Jordan Jackson, Matthew Holthusen, who is a freshman from Bishop Carroll, definitely is a good player. I've seen him play at the high school level. So, even their 5th and 6th option, again, just like against Kansas Wesleyan, talented receivers with their offense. And your defense definitely knows what's at stake, knows what they have to do to bring into this game, and just be fundamentally sound. And obviously they had the right leaders to do that in your group.
Yes.
But flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, Southwestern, a few different new guys for them. A guy that's been there a long time, and Josh Carter, he played at Wichita Northwest, and he's kind of been biding his time for the Mound Builders in that program. Very talented linebacker kid. Lifts a ton. Yeah, I can tell you that. Even when he's battled injuries, I remember, just watching videos of him in the weight room from high school. Just, he was a monster. Definitely can be a factor into the game for the Mound Builders. So many other guys as well in their coverage. They have 3 interceptions on the season coming into this one. And so many different things that they can do well. Kind of looking at their last couple of games, they've been in the 20s against their opponent. So, definitely, maybe not a lot of time when they have the ball to score necessarily, because both teams, in those type of games, you got to think have balanced time of possession. So any way that you guys can coin the advantage Threshers in that phase of the game, I'm sure you're looking to do that against Southwestern. But yeah, we talked about a very talented football team, and they have proven that they can stay focused. And like we said, the last couple of years, Bethel's come out on the upside of this matchup. So the guys that have been there a while, they really want this one. They want to come here. They want to, they know, I don't know if they know it's Fall Fest. It's a huge deal for the Bethel community. This football game as well, just kind of like, it's just a part of, a Thursday through Sunday, maybe even Monday type deal where it's a big deal for the Bethel College community.
Yes.
So, so many things factor into this one. I know you're trying to stay focused on football all at the same time. I mean, you go by your normal game day operation with, people coming on a visit, things like that, and just ultimately trying to manage all these things at once.
Yeah, but the management side is when you think about it as a game, nothing can affect you leading up to it because it's a game, right? When you think about it like that, it's like, if I told you I played checkers when I'm back at the house, if I'm over at cousins for a barbecue or something like that, you know what I mean? Right before I'm sitting down to eat the game, I'm watching something on TV, I'm talking to some of my other relatives, biting on a cheeseburger, and then I'm focusing in on my moves here. So, on the checkerboard. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot, there's things going on, but you got to enjoy it. That's what, this is what, football and college football, especially at, small schools, private schools like Bethel, this is what it's about, bringing alumni back, bringing the community together, and our guys will be, they'll be ready to play the game, but, we want them to enjoy the festivities leading up to it. I think we've got, Taste of Newton. I'm not sure if that's a Fall Fest thing. I think they put it on Fall Fest week because they know the crowd's going to be bigger, but we'll go and we'll do that. It's some festivities on Friday that we'll do. Matter of fact, I'm in like a get pied in the face contest or something like that. So
you and some other Bethel coaches.
Yeah, me and some other Bethel coaches, and I'm probably gonna win because I'm competitive. So go donate canned goods to mine. All right. If this will air too late. I've already got pied in the face by now.
Okay. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. So, but it's part of it, and just enjoy it, and you have to be able to. If you look at it as more than, that's when things can start to distract you. Oh, I got to be focused on the game.
Yeah.
I got to be focused on the game, which is true, but you can focus on that game like instantly. Like you turn it on. Once we get into pregame, we're locked in. Once we're doing these, we're locked in. Once we break out of the locker, we're locked in. We're ready to play. It doesn't matter what happened 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter how many balls you caught in pregame or dropped, or who you said hi to, or what alumni wanted to talk with you. None of that matters. It's now we're locked in, and I think the better you are about doing that, the changing things that happens in games won't affect you as much. That's how you can play in the what we call it, the Flood Bowl that we played in at Kansas Wesleyan or whatever, the Hurricane Bowl, and go back and just say, hey, we're gonna play, and that's just one example. But as the season goes on, there's gonna be other things that might happen. That's like, oh, we left our flag this week. Dang it, can we play today? We actually didn't run out with our flag at Bethany, and I was trying to blame that on the first half, but
I don't know about that.
Yeah, no, it's just one of those things. So distractions, no, I don't call them that, man. I call them great festivities that are going on that I look forward to taking part in, and I definitely know that our guys, I want them to enjoy it and then be able to be ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, this whole experience playing at Bethel College is all about just, these 4 years, some people 5 years. It's got to be some great years you look back on, and you're more than just a football player. And you wouldn't be here if you weren't more than just a football player.
Absolutely.
And there's so many positive things to look back on. Yes, you have to be mindful of some of the things that you are involved in at the same time to, in that kind of a weekend. But at the end of the day, yeah, I think that's a great lesson just for young adults, really, in general, is just to be able to, not just be all focused on one thing going on in your life, because when you're working a full-time job, you come home to, your family, things like that, they're gonna get pulled so many different ways, and you have to figure out, okay, how do I give my best to all of it?
Absolutely.
In those situations. So no doubt that life lessons, things like that, being taught here in your program, to say the least. But it's again our football game this week, 6 o'clock from Threshers Stadium. You can watch it on the KCAC network. I'll be on the call for that one. Excited for another great Bethel Southwestern football game, just athletic game in general. I've done so many, over the last few years, like basketball and football, have just been quite the contest. And every single time, my stomach kind of turns a little bit, just a little bit, just going in. I'm like, man, I'm even nervous, and I'm not even playing, kind of a thing. Just kind of knowing everybody involved and the effort that it takes, and the things that sometimes have to go your way to win. And so much on the line in these high stakes type games. But it's definitely like you said, what you want to be doing.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this is what we want to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where else would you rather be, right? So it's just we're excited. Look forward to it. I know it's going to be a great evening with all the alumni and the Bethel supporters being back on campus and at the stadium, and we're really excited and grateful to even be able to play a game that people would call big. We're definitely grateful for that.
Definitely a couple weeks and a couple big games for you guys, not just Southwestern at home this week, next week at Avila for an afternoon game. Definitely not a team to take for granted whatsoever. Can't even believe they're not getting ranked there. They have some great pieces, some good talent. Everybody, we talked about, everybody has weapons in this conference. But a couple big weeks for the Threshers, taking it 1 week at a time the rest of the way here as we have, 5 games left in the regular season. It's exciting, but it's finally here at Bethel against Southwestern. Can't wait for it. Again, 6 o'clock kick from Thresher Stadium. You can watch it on the KCAC network. Well, that's going to do it for our program this week. Thanks for those of you that watch every single week. We definitely appreciate it. And for Coach A.B. Stokes, I'm Dan Page. For final time in this one, roll on.